Good morning. We are pleased to have the honor to recognize a young lady whose determination and commitment is certainly commendable. S.D. Ackerman of West Hempstead is a student at Yeshiva University High School for Girls. She is one of 16 players who competed in the 2016 USA Olympic Table Tennis Team Trials, just held this past weekend in Greensboro, North Carolina. Although she didn't earn a spot on the team, S.D. has demonstrated an impressive level of athleticism. In December 2012, S.D. also advanced to the final round of the National Table Tennis Championships. She is ranked number 8 nationally among girls 15 and under, and number 64 among all U.S. women. S.D., would you please come forward? We have something else special for you. Michael? Okay, we have a special visitor this morning, and I would like him to come forward to offer an opening prayer, and that is Monsignor Tutoni, who is pastor of Sacred Heart Church in Island Park. Monsignor, please come forward. Please rise, please.
Asking Almighty God to be with all our deliberations. When we are at the service of others, we're doing God's work in this world. When we stretch out our hands to support and to assist people in their lives, we're doing God's work in this world. So we ask Almighty God's blessing on all the officials here. Give them wisdom, understanding, patience, and grace in order to fulfill their assistance to all those who are in need of their guidance, protection, and help. Amen.
Thank you, Monsignor. Thank you very much. And I am also very pleased to acknowledge and welcome to our proceedings today former United States Senator, former presiding supervisor, Senator Alphonse D'Amato. Senator, thank you for being here. Now, Madam Clerk, if you will call the roll.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Supervisor Santino.
Here.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Here.
Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman Gooseby.
Here.
Councilman Hughes.
Here.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Here.
Receiver of taxes, Governor Lex Clavey.
Here.
Oh, pardon me. I would also now at this point call on Councilwoman Dorothy Gooseby to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
And now, Madam Clerk, first public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Belmore, Elmont, Merritt, Seaford, and South Hempstead.
Okay, is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? There being none, I will ask for a motion.
Supervisor, I move that the hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Next public hearing, please.
Proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Elmont, Seaford, Unionville, and Woodmere.
Okay, is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? There being none, may I have a motion, please?
Move the public hearing be closed, proposed local law adopted.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Okay, next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Unionville.
Okay, is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? Councilwoman.
I move that the public hearing be closed and proposed local law be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Proposed handicap parking on public streets in Baldwin, Elmont, Unionville, and Montauk.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter? There being none, I'll have a motion, please.
I move that the hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Proposed amendment of section 302 of Article 31 of the Building Zone Ordinance of the Town of Hempstead to create a new subdivision 302Q in relations to requiring windows and exterior walls of restaurants.
Okay, there are a few people who have asked to speak on this item. And we'll start with Richard Solomon.
Good morning, everyone.
Your name and address for the record, Mr. Solomon.
My name is Richard Solomon. I'm an attorney at law. My office address is 290 Central Avenue, Suite 102, Lawrence, New York, 11559. My phone number is 516-371-4924. May I proceed?
Go ahead.
The law in question right now touches upon a litigation in which the town board, the Board of Zoning Appeals are in litigation. They're defendants. As such, I'm going to ask that anyone who is directly or indirectly in that litigation, as far as past activities, including but not limited to Mr. Hughes, to recuse themselves from the vote. As you know, there's a property, 3500 Sunrise Highway in Wantagh, which has been a center of a long-standing dispute between the town and the people who own the property. Interestingly enough, we were never given actual notice of this hearing today that brings us before all the fine people and the board. Now, what's interesting is, yesterday I was with the attorney for the town, Peter Sullivan, and during 7 hours of interrogation of Mr. Cornwall, not once when I asked all the questions about windows, the need for windows, the justification for windows, not once did they ever say, by the way, Mr. Solomon, you know, tomorrow there's a hearing on the town board on this very issue. Why don't you come and voice your objections? They didn't want us to know because they didn't give us notice. Now, what's interesting is I took the deposition of a number of different town officials. I took the deposition of Commissioner John Rockham, Department of Buildings. I took the deposition of Fred Javits. I took the deposition of Christopher Pelly, who was at one time head of public assembly. I took the deposition of all of these different people whose main goal is to protect the health and safety of businesses and residents in the town of Hempstead. And under oath, every single one of these opponents said the same thing. Windows are not required, they're not required by state law, and there's not a single health or safety reason why windows would be required in any restaurant. I then followed up and asked, are there numerous instances in businesses in the town in which there are existing restaurants that do not have windows? And they all affirmatively said yes. In fact, what should be noted for the record is that when the Board of Zoning Appeals actually asked as a condition to the granting of a permit regarding a restaurant with windows, that they asked that the windows always be closed. And that's probably because of noise and other issues. So the question is, why would anyone want to require a law that requires windows for them to be closed all the time when you are creating an environmental issue, which is heat loss and heat penetration, creating a burden on business that serves no purpose? The answer is obvious. The law was designed specifically for Green 2009. Just, if I can have an extra comment. Not only do we know that the law was specifically targeted to us, but we have discovery in our case. And I want to show everybody, this is a deposition exhibit marked on January 29, 2016. This is a picture of community activist Kevin Milano and supervisor at the time, Kate Murray. This was taken from Kate Murray's district attorney race. Kevin Milano was one of the people behind the opposition to the business to be formed at 3500 Sunrise Highway. In an email that he sent on November 30th, 2015, in which he copied Gary Hughes, people from Newsday, Kate Murray, Senator Gillibrand, John Asbury from Newsday, Bruce Blakeman, Peter King, Erwin Burns at CNBC, people from News 12, Sean Hannity, people from BIOS, people from Fox News, Governor Cuomo, John Stossel, Janet Day from Newsday, and a number of other people. He said, in paragraph 3, and I can make copies of this available, this was produced by the towns, this is from a town record produced an information request. It says, we have been guaranteed, it's a very important word, guaranteed by the town that they will not settle in our litigation. So we have here a letter from Mr. Milano to all the government officials he could find and the media saying that the town is not going to settle this litigation, which windows is a key issue. That's this gentleman right here. So I asked not only that this law be denied, because it's politically motivated, it has no basis in fact or law to be implemented. Not only that, what about the burden on all the businesses that are going to come into the town? If you are Subway, McDonald's, Wendy's, or any of those other franchise restaurants, they have predetermined architectural plans for uniformity. All of a sudden, you're imposing a condition on all of them that's not imposed anywhere else in the United States of America on them. You'd force all of them before the Board of Zoning Appeals, and then you would have a mishmash of litigation costing the town untold amounts of money, all because the law was designed purely for the Green 2009 3500 Sunrise Highway litigation. So the most important thing I have to say is that anyone who is involved in the community opposition to my client will recuse themselves from the proceedings, and certainly the vote, and that the matter be denied, because this is in the hands of the federal courts, and this would actually be an attempt to usurp the domain, the separation of government, that the federal courts are actually determining legal issues and civil rights before us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Erica Dubno. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. My name is Erica Dubno. I'm a partner at the firm of Farringer and Dubno, 767 3rd Avenue, Suite 3600, New York, New York. I represent Billy Dean, Rory Gordon, the owners of 3500 Sunrise Highway, located in Wantagh. That location is permissible for restaurants as of right. The building plans were approved again and again by the fire department, buildings department, everyone to be designed and renovated without windows. Nevertheless, the town, in the 373-year history of the town of Hempstead, has never required an establishment to have windows. It is not required by the state liquor authority. It is not required by the fire department or the buildings department for the state of New York. However, the town now, in an effort to continue to keep the establishment closed and to prevent our clients from even selling the building as a restaurant or using it as a restaurant, has now proposed this law. Its amendment to Section 302 to require establishments, all restaurants in the town of Hempstead that are being built or have not received a certificate of occupancy to have windows on at least 20% of their outdoor exterior space. We urge most respectfully that that will not pass constitutional muster, and there's absolutely no basis for it. This proposed amendment is purely an attempt to stop Billy Dean from opening a restaurant which he should be able to open as of right. As indicated before, we ask the recusal of anyone involved in this, including but not limited to Councilmember Hughes, who personally went to the establishment and protested against it with prior Supervisor Kate Murray. The plan, which would require windows on all sides of the building, in which customers can see out and outdoor people can see in. It is arbitrary and capricious. That statement would require windows in bathrooms so that people outside can see into the bathroom. It would require windows on walls where kitchens are located, where coat checks are located, where storage facilities are. It is absolutely arbitrary and capricious. We have researched the law. There's absolutely no other jurisdiction in Nassau or Suffolk County, indeed anywhere in New York, which require it. The state liquor authority, which regulates bars, does not require windows in bars and places with intoxicating liquor. In addition to this, it serves absolutely no purpose whatsoever. There's nothing relating to aesthetics, property value, fire department, code enforcement, safety issues, building department, architectural basis. It is, however, directly targeted as a basis to stop Billy Dean from operating as a restaurant. If I may continue, please. In addition, the arbitrary and capricious nature is further reinforced by the fact that this is an amendment to Section 302. It would be 302Q. We note that Section 302P, which would be the section right above this, specifically requires businesses to limit the light that is projecting onto neighbors because of concerns about light pollution. In a situation where you're requiring establishments to have windows, it will create more light pollution without any basis for why. As previously mentioned by Mr. Solomon, virtually every case approved by the BZA with conditions for restaurant or cabaret and or restaurant use requires that the windows be closed for noise pollution purposes. So you're requiring establishments to install windows that have to remain closed. Furthermore, in addition to requiring an undue expense to establishments, the law is overbroad and vague. It contains undefined and elusive terms, including but not limited to directly and substantially view. What does that mean? It means, well, curtains, blinds. Can a romantic French restaurant have blinds? Or will it require them to have their windows open so that people can see Sunrise Highway and people on Sunrise Highway can look into the romantic French restaurant? What about opaque windows? Trees, columns, flowers on the tables. Is that obstructing it? You're talking about requiring every restaurant in the entire town of Hempstead that is going to come into existence from this point on to have windows purely because you're targeting Billy Dean. It is going to cost incredible amounts of money to the town each time a business comes in, whether it's a Burger King that doesn't want to put windows in its kitchens or bathrooms, or wants to have to change the structure of it, and it's going to require the town to pay substantial fees to outside lawyers, outside firms, paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend against unnecessary litigation. This is all a radical knee-jerk reaction based on political power and views against Billy Dean. Finally, we have an action currently pending in the federal court in the Eastern District of New York. It's currently pending in front of Judge Gleason. I fully intend to notify the court of any action by the town to pass a law relating to windows. He himself questioned whether windows were necessary at all, and this is clearly an attempt to get around the law to close Billy Dean down. We believe it's part of a further conspiracy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rory Gordon.
There's an easel over
I
here.
would like to pass this out to you folks.
Please give it to the clerk.
And who would that be?
Right to your left.
Thank you.
Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Rory Gordon, 25 Kristen Lane, Hop Hop, New York. I am the owner of 3500 Sunrise Highway. As you already know, my two attorneys have already spoken. I do want to bring to your attention, though, the Nassau Event Center. That is one of the largest new projects in the town of Hempstead. And, oh, geez. You have the number them before they get to look at it? Okay. Mr. Solomon, can you? I have copies, but can you show that to the members?
Sure, let me go like this.
Okay, that is the Nassau Event Center. Proposed are restaurants, all in that space over there, probably 100,000 square feet of restaurants. I, as an individual, happen to inquire about renting spaces there. This law is preposterous. Every national chain would be required to put those in their restaurant. I don't understand what the logic is behind it. Right now, 20% windows on 4 sides. The energy loss is incredible. I don't know if any of you folks live on the South Shore, but today, the water was so high, and that is because of the situation with global warming. You're just adding to the situation by putting 20% windows and energy escaping on all 4 sides. Now, I just want to tell you that the reason that I bought this property is I was looking to make a career change. I wanted to open a small dinner theater, and you guys have been fighting me tooth and nail, and I don't plan on going away. I have the right to open. It is my free speech. Whatever you think I'm going to do, I don't know. It's arbitrary. And tell me why. Why do restaurants need windows? Why not a billiard parlor? Why not Macy's? Why not a bowling alley? Why restaurants? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I know I'm not stupid. I read the resolutions, and I did read in the resolution, and you're supposed to contact somebody that it would affect. I'm still waiting for my letter. I never got a letter from the town, and I certainly am very upset about that. I paid a tremendous amount of taxes on this building to carry it. And you guys have no idea what a burden it is to me. And it's now my turn to express to you, why are you singling out me as an individual? I know I'm not going to get an answer because I was here last week, and I understand it's not a question and answer period. But I would think the people that are going to come to the Nassau Event Center to rent are going to be really upset if you decide to pass this law. So I am asking you, please, do not even consider this law to be accepted, because it will cost me an incredible amount of money to redesign a building that's been beautifully architecturally designed. And thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Felix Procacci.
Bocacci, 1165 Dawn Street, Franklin Square, New York. Why is it necessary to put windows on exterior walls of restaurants?
Mr. Bocacci, this is kind of a difficult situation because of the speakers who have gone before you. There's currently pending a federal civil rights lawsuit against the town of Hempstead, and you just heard the representatives from that establishment coming in and speaking against the bill. So the short issue is that this is a public health and safety issue, but in order not to litigate the other issue in a public forum, I'm going to just tell you this is for a public health and safety issue.
Was this law written to prevent a specific applicant or applicants from opening a restaurant?
No.
Has the town ever received a complaint about restaurants not containing windows?
I did, Mr. Procacci. I think the town attorney has made it relatively clear that this is an issue that is a tangential issue that could be subject to a litigation. Therefore, this is not the forum for those questions. So we're happy to hear anything you have to say, but I don't think it's time for a question and answer session.
And Mr. Bocacci, if you want to forward that information, I'd be glad to get it to you.
Well, when Mayor McDonald was here last meeting and she asked questions, we did not give her that answer. That it's not a Q&A session. The Q&A session line that you guys pull is only for certain applicants or certain residents who you don't want to answer questions for. You're the ones who put the law on today's calendar. I didn't. And now you don't even want, it says in the resolution, if you want to be heard on this, come in to town hall.
Okay, and your answer
Now you don't want to answer questions regarding
your answer is that if you want to forward that information, I'll get it for you. I don't have it available.
I wish you'd tell Mayor McDonald that. Okay. Does this law apply to other places of businesses like that serve food, like a bar or cabaret?
It applies to restaurants.
Only restaurants. So a bar and grill wouldn't be considered a restaurant?
Mr. Covet, are you here?
Yes.
Did you get the question? It applies. Yes, it applies.
Who proposed this amendment?
This is something that we've been looking at for a long period of time. In the town attorney's
Usually you have a place on...
In the town attorney's office, we've been looking at it for a long period of time.
Who's the one who initiated...
There's a staff. We do things together.
No, but who had the idea for it? I'm not asking you who wrote it. I'm asking you who proposed it, whose idea, whose genius came up with the problem that, oh, we need restaurants and windows.
The town attorney's office.
The town attorney's office. Is that, does he have a name?
Well, I'm the town attorney, but
You made this up? You made this up?
We do things collaboratively.
Is there a person? Because a lot of these resolutions say Santino made up the law or Hughes made up the law. Now you're saying that nobody made up the law. And it's a collaborative effect. So you should all be guilty if there's a problem, right? So just put the whole town attorney's office on trial. Okay?
If you so choose.
Yes, we really need to do that. How many windows are required on each exterior wall? Is there a specific number or could it be one big window that takes
I
it?
believe it's 20%.
Just 20%. If a kitchen or hallway is along the exterior wall and there's no eating, would a window still be required?
If you, on a case-by-case basis, I guess there will be establishments that will ask for relief or variances from the law. So the short answer would be yes. However, there would be variances allowed to be granted by the Board of Zoning Appeals in cases where there's hardship.
So it seems this law just complicates things, but what type of windows are allowed to be used? Can you use tinted windows? Can you use block glass? Can you use purely opaque windows?
They need to be clear so you can see through them. That doesn't mean it can't be opaque or sunblocked or things like that, but they need to be, it needs to be able to be visible from the street.
Okay, thank you. I have other administrative items. Do you want me to talk about those later?
When the appropriate item is called, not now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Jeffrey Greenfield. Name and address for the record, sir.
Morning, Supervisor, members of the board. Jeff Greenfield, citizen taxpayer, Yuba Court, Rockville Center. I came down here this morning to watch my wife's cousin, Esty Ackerman, get on it. And I didn't know this was going to be, she's the Sandy Koufax of people. And I didn't know this was going to be on the agenda, and I wanted to speak to the issue. I have 36 years of zoning and land use experience, first in the Rockville Center Village, and now in Nassau County. My opinions are developed based upon that. I'm not here in any official capacity whatsoever. But I want to take us back in history. Some 25, 30 years ago, in the town of North Hempstead, Guinea Woods Road, the no-name diner, which is subsequently, unfortunately, named the Rape Diner. The first thing after that horrific incident the owners of the diner did was cut windows in every side of the building. And the first thing they said when they reopened is, maybe it wouldn't have happened if we had windows then. And this is reported front page Newsday. It's not Jeff Greenfield making this up. I think it's a good law. I don't know anything about the case and the litigation that's involved with the town. I just came here today and I wanted to tell you that I applaud the town for taking that into consideration. We live in a scary world today. And if something like this could prevent a robbery, an armed robbery, any type of incident, because people are afraid of being seen, maybe this doesn't go far enough. Maybe you should require cameras on every building. And that's a deterrent also. And as far as the energy laws for windows, that's really a non-issue in today's world. You get the windows that are Energy Star windows, you get thermopane windows. They make windows today that are better than any windows made in the past. That can be mitigated. Thank you for your consideration of this law.
Thank you, Mr. Greenfield. Okay, there being no one else who has signed in to speak on this item, I would ask the clerk to call roll.
Other than
Motion,
items.
please.
I move the public hearing be closed. The proposed amendment in section 302 be adopted.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Guzzi.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes. Councilwoman Kingsmill.
Next item, please.
Proposed creation of a new section 272.1 of Article 27 of the Building Zone Ordinance in relations to preference for certain cases before the Board of Appeals and Department of Buildings, Highway and Engineering.
Okay. The only individual that I have who is signed in for this item is Mr. Felix Percacci.
Who proposed this law?
The Office of the Town Attorney.
That's not a person.
Yes, the answer is that we look at things in the law, the changes that we have to make to comply with various state, federal regulations, changes in society, and federal court issues. We toss around ideas, and the town attorney's office proposed this law to the town board.
What's the purpose of this law?
To facilitate an expedited procedure in those cases where freedom of speech and First Amendment issues are in question.
Was this amendment meant to deal with any legal issues the town is currently having with one or more applicants?
This amendment is to further comply with some federal cases talking about expedited procedures where there are First Amendment rights in question.
It didn't answer the question. was it meant to deal with any existing litigation?
It complies with recent federal cases.
The proposed amendment, just this amendment and the previous amendment, for some reason, on Friday, when you called the hearing on January 26th, you put the letter, the law on the website. As of yesterday, for some reason, you took the letter of law off. You just had the notice of the hearing. It's required by law that you have the details that have to do with the hearing. I'm not sure why you removed it from the document. It was there on January 26th, and then when you published it on Friday and yesterday, it wasn't there. So I just would appreciate that you abide by the law, since you made these laws, and New York State made the law that requires this to be so, but you've violated this law many times. Maybe you should make a town law that requires you to put the hearings and the details of the hearings on the website prior to the hearing, so then you don't have to follow state law, you can follow town law. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this item? Please, may I have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Supervisor Centino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman McSweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed modification of public parking fields regulations in Baldwin, Belmore, Merrick, Seaford, and Montauk.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item on the calendar?
Actually, I would. After I get it in now, since I didn't get my chance to speak last time, and I waited until 4:02. Me, J. Meredith, 758 Wesley Street, Baldwin. What exactly are the proposed modifications?
On the parking fields, that would be Mr. Rocketseas. What are the actual modifications on the parking fields on the last item on the public hearing calendar?
The Long Road. This is making all the fields in these areas, the commuter parking fields in these areas will now be permit. Town of Hempstead permit required to park in the fields. So the Long Island Railroad commuter park fields along Sunrise Highway in all these areas.
So it's commuter parking for any resident of town of Hempstead?
Yes.
Okay.
For anybody that's commuter, if you want to park in these parking fields, you'll need a town of Hempstead parking permit required between hours of 6 a.m. and 1 p.m.
Okay, now, does that include Rockville Center?
No.
Rockville Center is an incorporated village.
Okay, but it's part of the Long Island Railroad line.
It's an incorporated village. We have no control over the parking lots in the incorporated village of Rockville.
Okay, I understand it. So is this in terms of the same stickers that will now be costing $10 versus $3?
That's correct.
Okay. And it also opens up for any residents, because Baldwin seems to be the location for anyone coming from the other areas that can't seem to find, well, they can't park at Rockville Center, and there's not enough space in Freeport. So how does that benefit the Baldwin commuters?
Because residents of Baldwin will have a larger pool of parking spots reserved for town residents in which to park. So it would essentially prevent residents of Rockville Center or Freeport or village residents from parking in the parking lot in Baldwin because no, it's not part of it. It will create a higher pool of parking so that it prevents people from outside of, I correct myself, outside of the town of Hempstead. What we're finding is a lot of folks come from Suffolk County to come into the town of Hempstead because it's a cheaper zone. It's a nearer zone to the city, so they're parking in the parking lots along the South Shore, and they're eating up a lot of parking that would ordinarily go to town residents. For the most part, in Freeport and Rockville Center, which is what I meant to say. There are the parking which is exclusive to residents of those villages. Most village residents park in those lots because they have substantial parking lots in those villages. This would prevent people from outside of the town of Hempstead from coming, mainly Suffolk County, town of Oyster Bay, we find some as well, who come into the town of Hempstead, who drive in because it's closer, it's cheaper for the monthly commutation that they do.
Okay, but if they were also buying these same stickers, but you're penalizing those of us who live in the town of Hempstead because we now have to pay $7 more for a parking spot that we still won't get.
Well, there'll be a much larger pool that will be available so that to town of Hempstead residents only.
So why can't town of Hempstead residents continue to pay the $3, and if there's someone that's new, then they pay
because
the
the
$10.
administrative costs of just the stickers alone and the administrative cost of sending town employees to the parking lots. We don't make residents come to town hall to get them. We go right into the neighborhoods early in the morning at the parking lots. It's just to cover the administrative costs. We don't make a profit of that.
Okay, so I'm still back to trying to understand the rationale for, once again, taxpayers to pay an increased surcharge. For example, coming here today, I was in the parking lot over here for almost an hour trying to find a place to park and being told there's no parking spots, but somebody drove in a big Escalade and all of a sudden a parking spot was created. So I had to park across the street in the private parking lot and then walk across the street to come to this meeting here. So I'm still concerned, but you're talking about cost, but we continue to pay millions of dollars for advertisement to talk about free tax service or for the money that's quote unquote being saved on our property taxes. So I still don't understand how, again, the taxpayers are the ones who still have to pay those stickers to get to those jobs, to pay for these taxes, to pay for this quote multi-million-dollar advertising budget that we have in the town of Hempstead. So I just don't understand why we can't continue to pay the $3 for those stickers for the parking spots we don't get anyway.
In Baldwin, there are 2 parking fields that are for residents of the Baldwin Public Parking District. That parking district fee is $3.
Yes.
The $10 fee would be for the remainder of the lot. The other complaint too, which we have gotten a lot of, whether it relates directly to Baldwin, is residents of Long Beach driving up because they want to take the main line.
Yes.
And they come and they park in what previously was the open parking in Baldwin. This will prevent that and maintain those parking spaces exclusively for town of Hempstead residents. And simply put, no matter how many times you answer the question, this is to cover the administrative cost of the program. It is a nominal fee, $10 on an annual basis. But it is to cover the administrative cost of the program. We do not make a profit.
And again, I'm asking, why can't residents continue to pay the $3? When you say nominal fee, anything above 0 is a cost.
Because it is two different permit fees. In Baldwin, in the rest of the township, in Wantos, Seaford, Belmore, right now there is very limited permit parking. This opens up many more spots. We will have to print up many more stickers. We will have to spend a lot more time administering the program, enforcing the program with our Department of Public Safety. It is to cover our costs.
Well, you can cover the cost by reducing the advertising that gets expended. And one little suggestion, like corporate America, they do what is called an annual report once a year. And they talk about all the things that have been taking place during the course of the year, as opposed to clogging mailboxes every other week with the same brochures and the same flyers. So that might be a consideration. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this program, on this item? There being none, I ask for a motion, please. Is there a second?
Second.
Supervisor Santina.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Goolsbee. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Okay, before we move on to the administrative calendar, I would like to recognize, we have a nice student from Medgar Evers College, Aisha Alexis from Hempstead. Are you here? Still here? Still with us? Welcome. And we hope you're enjoying this morning's proceedings. Okay, on the administrative calendar, we have, Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Supervisor, on the administrative calendar this morning, we have items 1 through 31.
Would anyone like to sever any item on the administrative calendar? Okay. Do I have a motion on the administrative calendar with the... Yes, I'm looking for that now. Do I have a motion on the administrative calendar with the exception of item number 18, which has been severed?
I move the administrative calendar for items 1 to 31 with the exception of 8.
Second.
Okay. Now, although we will vote on them separately, since there are folks that want to talk about a whole slew of items, including number item 18, I will now, just so it's on the record, I will ask for a motion on number item 18. Are you got that? So it's the motion. None. You want to move? No, you want to.
I move resolution number 18.
Second.
Okay. So now everything is on the table, so now we will ask for comment. Mr. Felix Percacci.
So I can talk on anything but 18, is that?
Everything, no, that's why I did it that way.
Okay.
Everything's on the table at the moment.
Okay. On item number 10, permission to retain freelance photography services. What's that for?
Mr. Deary?
Those are the services of the resolution says a freelance photographer to do photography for the town's personnel, town facilities.
So don't we already have that? Don't we have in-house photography?
We do have some in-house photographers. We do also have folks who are on retainer. They're not paid unless they work. If there's an overload and we need more photographers than we have on staff, or photographers on vacation or sick, we need a fill-in, this person would be paid on a per diem basis.
Are we videotaping this town board meeting today? Is that
We
official?
are, yes.
That's official? Official camera right there?
That is camera, yes.
Okay, so we're going to do that in the future now?
No, I didn't say that.
I didn't ask you if you said it. I said, are we doing it? No?
That's not
Just
my
put that.
decision.
Okay. Okay, number 18, appointing Anthony Esposito, councilperson. I don't know the person. What I object to is town didn't put a press release out for this item. I think it's important for the Councilmatic District 4 residents to know and to be here, and apparently some are here because they were notified. I'm not sure too many people go to the town's website and look at the details, but I'm not sure why a press release wasn't put out. We did put out a press release to notify people if you want to get married the weekend before Valentine's Day. We did put a press release for that, but we didn't put a press release out to notify the residents of Councilmatic District 4 that they would get a new legislator. So I'm really, I just don't understand, it's almost like you want to keep it secret. And last year when you appointed Mr. Blakeman and Sweeney, that was an emergency resolution you put up on the calendar, that urgent, we just found out that morning that they were going to be appointed. I mean, it's totally ridiculous. You just really want to hide things from the residents, it seems, because there seems to be no other reason why you go about doing it this way. For the most trivial things, you put a press release out. For a major thing like appointing a council person, you put no press release out. It's really nuts. Number 19, is this a paid position for the Civil Service Commission?
Yes.
It's minimal compensation, yes.
Yeah, you didn't put that in the resolution. It didn't indicate. How much do they get paid? Just curious.
I believe they get paid by the, is it $5,000 a year?
That pays $5,840 annually.
Then we have a number of attorneys being appointed. Is any attorney going to be acting as fire liaison that are listed on this administrative calendar? I mean, because it's kind of vague, just legislative services.
What? I didn't hear the question.
Okay. Are any attorneys that are being appointed on this between items number 19 and 24, I guess it is, are any of them going to be acting as fire liaison for the town of Hempstead?
No.
Okay. Do we have, I know this year we didn't appoint Christopher Shelton as fire liaison. Did we appoint anyone to act as fire liaison for the town of Hempstead?
I believe that contract is still being negotiated.
Okay, so who's acting as fire liaison? Nobody?
Mr. Shelton is, his company is a holdover as of now.
Holdover. Okay. On item number 23, Philip Marino, is he one of the attorneys that are on the Board of Ethics?
Yes.
Philip Marino, you know my issue. It took him 6 months to process a very simple ethics complaint against Supervisor Murray, only giving me a one-sentence explanation at the end of it. Isn't this a conflict of interest, though, that he's having 2 positions now, and one of them he doesn't do right anyway, as far as being on the Board of Ethics. He's just very political anyway. Why is he given another position?
There is no conflict of interest.
No, of course there isn't. I mean, you're not going to say there is. Why would you do that? But there is a conflict of interest if he holds 2 positions within the town. Suppose somebody makes an ethics complaint against him in his position over here. He's going to have to recuse himself from the board then. I noticed on it's item number 26, the general one, I see there's a number of reappointments. Some of them said that they're being reappointed. Some of them said that they, I guess, resigned their position and they were appointed. Is that just a mistype, or what's a reappointment? Versus some of them said that they were, I guess, having resigned their position, now they're being reappointed, and some of them just say they're reappointed. Is that just a mistake, or is there some legal difference between the two?
The language that's used is appoint and reappoint. And it has to do with maybe some people are holdovers, maybe some people are appointed for the first time, but that's why I use the language appoint and reappoint. There's virtually no difference between the two. You can't reappoint somebody who's being appointed for the first time, but you do reappoint an existing commission.
Okay, because like I said, some of them I noticed the names of the people they've been here previously. Some of the resolutions are written such that they say they having resigned their position, they're being reappointed. Some of them omit that first part.
That's resigning a different position.
Different position, right, okay. Okay, and once again, I wish we would advertise all non-tested positions on the town's website. I didn't notice anything. I noticed you did add the minutes of the meeting, which is nice, but we should really put non-tested positions on the town's website so people who don't work in town can know about these positions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was the only slip that I had in the administrative calendar. So unless there is anyone else, we will take every item except item number 18. So please call the roll if you have a motion.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
I would the exceptions of items 12 and 22, on which I repeat this.
Thank you. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Okay, we have called and moved and seconded item number 18, so would you please call the roll on item 18? Senior Councilwoman Boothby will make a statement prior to her vote. So call the roll.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
I would like to make a statement before I vote. I am very happy to vote for Anthony Diaz-Presido to be a councilman in the town of Hempstead. I've had the privilege of working with him as he has been a community leader, a fire chief, and a respected member of the New York City Police Department. He was magnificent in helping the residents of Island Park and the surrounding areas of Oceanside, etc. during Superstorm Sandy, and I can't think of anybody who merits being appointed to this town board other than therefore I vote aye.
Thank you. Councilman Boothby.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I have a statement concerning our new council person who's going to end up with us. Supervisor Santino, fellow council members and citizens of the town of Hempstead. I object not to a specific individual being appointed. All of you said about him, Mr. Blakeman, Councilman Blakeman. I have met with him. I have interviewed him, and he does have qualifications, very, very good qualifications to be a great councilman. But rather, I object to the process by which the town board will be choosing the representative for Councilman District Number 4 without any input or vote by the citizens of that district. Even though I know many of you are here, you don't represent all of them. And as a result of the Gooseby versus Town of Hempstead Voting Rights Act litigation, the town of Hempstead was divided into 6 councilman districts to give voters in our communities more direct representation in local town government. We're now in the 16th year of representation by councilman districts, and this is the 4th time that a vacancy has arisen in a councilman district. Consider what we're doing here. There is a vacancy in the position of town councilman of District Number 4. Not counting Supervisor Santino, none of the council members who are voting on this appointment represent any of the town of Hempstead citizens from councilman of District Number 4. In other words, the council members who will represent the citizens of councilman of District Number 4 has not been voted on by the people who live there. This is a very undemocratic process, and that's I know you voted on because you were the council person, so be quiet. This is a very undemocratic process, and that's undemocratic with a small d. So according in the order of the citizens council district number 4, they may choose their own representative of the town board. I move that we table this resolution at this particular time and change the method by which the town board fills a vacancy. I know there's a state law that we are following, so I, myself, really know that this young man will make a very, very good council person. That I will vote on, but I don't vote on the process, so split my vote.
Well, as we all on this board greatly respect Senior Councilwoman Gooseby and her diligent efforts on behalf of the town of Hempstead, and certainly her opinions are well taken. Unfortunately, under New York state law, there is no provision for this board to fill a vacancy, as it happens, other than by appointment. The only other choice that would be left to this board under New York state law, which we are powerless to change, it must be changed by the governor and the state legislature. Our only other alternative would be to leave the seat vacant until November, which would leave the residents of the 4th Council District unrepresented by a council person. So with those options, the board today believes that the majority of the board believes that the residents of the 4th Council District do deserve representation, that they should not have to wait until November, and that Mr. D'Esposito is the right person to give them very vigorous, aggressive, and proactive representation, which I'm proud to say I think they became used to over the preceding 16 years. But
one thing, the town of Brookhaven has changed. They do have a special election for Brookhaven. So if this board wanted to change it, they could. We're the largest town in the United States of America.
Councilman Hughes.
A great choice. Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Aye.
okay. Please put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Anthony P. D'Esposito,
I, Anthony Paul D'Esposito,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States,
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the town of Hempstead.
of the town of Hempstead.
And I do further swear
And I do further swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully
the
execute
duties of the office
the duties of the office
of councilman
of councilman
for the 4th District
for the 4th
of
District
the town of Hempstead
of the town of
to
Hempstead
the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Councilman, congratulations.
Stand up, man. Stand up. Look on this stuff. Stand up, man. Stand up. Relax. Stand up, man. Stand up. That's what I feel. Your life.
Now, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and with Senior Councilwoman Goosby's indulgence, since it is normally her prerogative, but for this one time only, as your first action, I will accept Councilman D'Esposito a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Gooseby. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney. Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Now, as indicated, the board will remain to listen to the thoughts and concerns of residents of the town of Hempstead. Just bear with me. Angelo Balbo. Good morning, Mr. Balbo.
Yes, I spoke to Bill Rocksees earlier, last week also. We have a real severe problem with the...
Could you just have your name and address for the record, because it's still being recorded, I'm sorry.
No problem. Angelo Balbo, 68 Jefferson Avenue, Island Park, New York, Colorado. like I was saying, we have a real severe issue with stormwater backup through the storm drains. Back in the 90s, I was here. I moved to the area in 91. Every time we had a moon tide, whether it was new moon, full moon, we had backup. So I came here, I got with the highway department and the engineering department. They installed a tidal valve in a vault. It worked for a while. What I was told, it was supposed to be on a maintenance schedule. Never seen anyone come down here and maintain it. So about 10 years ago, it stopped working. It worked occasionally. I finally called the town again. I had someone come down. They had no idea where this valve was. It was in the vault. I had to show the person that came down here. I had to open it up for him. He had no tools to open up the manhole. He looked down here. He told me, I can't go down here. I need a special crew. So they did send a special crew. Told me the valve was deformed. It was an old style valve. Never heard anything more about it. Today was horrendous, and I know that I'm not the only area that got hit. But this is routine, not bad tides, anything. Every moon tide we have backup, and I gave Mr. Rocky pictures that were taken at different times of high tides with the moon tide. My fellow neighbors would be here today, most of them working, but it's getting so bad that, I mean, we have to scramble every time we have a tide. We have to go move cars. Lawns are getting destroyed. I lost one car myself over the years. Something needs to be done. I mean, the valve, it's a couple of $1,000 for a valve. You know, years ago, we had a major problem in Oceanside on Lawson Boulevard. But it's getting so bad that, I mean, we have to scramble every time we have a tide. We have to go move cars. Lawns are getting destroyed. I lost one car myself over the years. Something needs to be done. I mean, the valve, it's a couple of $1,000 for a valve. You know, years ago, we had a major problem in Oceanside on Lawson Boulevard. They installed valves. This morning, when my wife went to work during high tide, there was no water on Lawson Boulevard. And valves have been installed in Freeport, Massapequa. I think we're entitled to these valves. And whatever the cost may be, we're destroying property. And it's a horrible way to live. That every time there's a tide, we have to worry about how we're going to deal with it.
All right. Commissioner Rockefeller, over here. Okay. What are we going to do? Let's.
I spoke to Mr. Valve before the meeting. I spoke to him last week. We're going to get out there. We're going to check it. Currently, the valve that was put in back in the 90s is probably no longer functioning. So we'll get down there. We'll check it. We'll see about replacing it.
All right, let's get it done as quickly as possible so Mr. Valve doesn't have to come back in here.
You know, there's other areas also. I'm not just.
Well, that one's been there for going on 20 years, and obviously it's reached its useful life, and let's see what we can do to fix it.
So like I said to Mr. Robbins, you know, the problem is that where the pipe empties into the canal, right? Where the valve is upline of the pipe. So I'm sure that during Sandy, there's a ton of debris that's in that vault right now.
Look, we have great engineers. We'll look at it. I'm sure we'll figure out what's wrong. If it's just a function of routine maintenance, fine. If it needs to be replaced, that's fine too. You deserve to, you know, live in a neighborhood where, to the extent possible, you're not flooded all the time.
There's another issue that would greatly protect that area. There's a property there that I'm sure you're all aware of, the old Seabrook facility, which is now owned by Basilica. Okay. Along that canal there's a piece of property that's owned by the town. There's an empty lot next to the Basilica's lot. Half of it is owned by my neighbor, and half of it is owned by the town. This is where that pipe empties. My neighbor redid his bulkhead years ago. There is no bulkhead where this pipe empties, and there is a breach in the land there. So not only does it come up with storm drains, when it gets real high, it starts coming in through that breach. Not only does it go into the street, it goes into the Basilica's property. Now the other thing is, if this property, Basilica's property, was able to get developed, they would have to raise that whole property to a different level. That would create a barrier, not only for my home, but for that whole southern part of that island. I mean, that's something that we need to look at, okay, because, you know, another Sandy storm, I mean, we're not gonna be able to stop that, but, you know, Irene, we didn't get hit that bad, but if that land would have been higher, we wouldn't have got hit at all. I appreciate the time, thank you very much.
Christy Reisick. Good morning.
I'm Christy Reisick, and I live at 268 Floral Parkway in Floral Park, and my phone number is 516-270-3573. I'm just a mom. I have 2 young children, they're 10 and 11, and I live in Floral Park for the last 10 years. And over these last 10 years, my first husband, actually my only husband, and I have purchased 4 two-family houses in the village. We've enjoyed a lovely family life in this warm and loving community. My children are able to walk to Tulip Avenue, down Plainfield, go to the stores, go to the pizza places, go to the candy shops. Right before Christmas, our town learned that OTB is planning to settle into our village, into Belmont. It's very upsetting to me because I've invested a lot of time and effort into this community. In addition to it, I've chosen this town so my children can be very safe and enjoy a great lifestyle. Unfortunately, as you've read in other areas like in Atlantic City or Foxwoods or Mohegan Sun, just to name a few, crime goes up 262%, from my understanding, by Aqueduct. I worry about the safety for our children. I worry about traffic, trying to take the kids right now to JJ's dance in town or the soccer fields. And now their legislators' offices are telling us that the charter buses are going to come down Plainfield Avenue off the LIE. They're also, if they don't come down Plainfield, they're going to be coming down New Hyde Park Road in Garden City, where my children go to St. Anne's, and the schoolyard touches New Hyde Park Road. Right before Christmas, I spoke at the legislative meeting, and I equate our town to Bedford Falls from the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And I asked for a Christmas miracle for this to go away. I'm here because I believe in 2007, many people on your board voted down the flea market that was supposed to come due to, according to the records, crime, safety because there's a public school, Floral Park Railroad School right there, Memorial High School is right there. You were worried about the traffic, you were worried about child predators, you didn't know who would be going out of the schools. My understanding, OTB is going to go from 22 hours a day. These people from other towns and areas will be flocking, over 5,000 visitors, and they'll be coming into the town, and they're going to be driving through after they've been drinking alcohol at the casino. I'm really not sure what to do. As I started, I'm just a mom, and I have a big investment in my 2 children, and I would like you to, and I need your help. What is your stance on this?
Thank you very much for coming down today. We appreciate your concern, and we understand. This is Ed Anderson, I represent Floral Park.
Hi. I know I've called your office many times, never heard back.
Yeah. I apologize for that.
No problem. On this issue. And I'm sure you saw the 2,000 people that came to the rally.
I saw people, I mean, there wasn't 2,000, but we'll attribute that to the front page. But the town attorney is going to, I'm going to ask the town attorney a question. Mr. Town Attorney, is it accurate to state that this town board has absolutely no jurisdiction over the selection or citing of a proposed video live eternal?
That is accurate.
And that is the province of the State Gaming Commission and Nassau OTB?
That's correct.
So we have no jurisdiction over that. Well, we sympathize with your concerns. We can work with you to maybe work with some of the concerns if and when that ever happens, but we have no jurisdiction in stopping it or allowing it to occur.
So, since you represent our town, what is your stance on it?
I'm in favor of it.
Okay, do you live in Floral Park?
I do not live in Floral. I live in North Valley Street, but I grew up in Elmont and I spent my childhood in Floral Park. I'll tell you why I'm in favor of it. I would not be in favor of anything that would be detrimental to any of the citizens of Floral Park or any of the surrounding communities. And I appreciate the fears and concerns, but I think Mayor Tweedy has done an excellent job of stirring a fire and raising fears among the residents of Floral Park. Are you aware of where the proposed facility would go?
Absolutely.
Okay, it's going to be over a mile away from the high school, a half a mile from the elementary school, off the Hempstead Turnpike in the hamlet of Belmont. It's not in Floral Park. Ingress and egress will be off of Hempstead Turnpike onto the Cross Island Parkway.
What about the charter buses? They can't go on the bus.
Charter buses will go from Long Island Express. Speaking of the charter bus companies, they'll go down Springfield Boulevard to Hempstead Turnpike. And the majority of the patrons of the facility already use Aqueduct, and there's no traffic problem now when they go into Aqueduct. We would not even indicate, OTB would not support anything that would be contrary to the needs of Floral Park. That's why I'm in favor of this. I don't believe it's going to have any impact at all on the quality of life of Floral Park, and I support the people of Floral Park very much.
Well, I have to tell you, because the village of Floral Park, if you would come into town and meet people like myself, just regular moms and families, and realize that we are 100% opposed to it for our children. And I didn't choose to move to Mohegan Sun area or Atlantic City. I chose an area like Floral Park that is very family-oriented. And to have charter buses come through our town. Have you been in town at 5 o'clock?
The Floral Park is adjacent to the Belmont Racetrack that's been there for 110 years.
And how many days of racing are there? 92. And this is going to be 365 days a year for 22 hours a day. And this is the type of riffraff that you want to bring into our village. You should be ashamed.
I don't want to bring in riffraff. That's not the issue. The issue is about giving $20 million to the county and $3 million annually for local schools, police department, and the town of Hempstead. That's what this is. It's about revenue. And I absolutely appreciate your concerns. I will gladly meet with you to address your concerns. And if and when this ever comes, I don't even know what's going to happen. We have no jurisdictions to stop it or permit it. But we do have the ability to sit down and represent you in negotiations for community agreements to minimize your concerns. But I really, based on the studies, I don't think it's going to have a detrimental effect. And I appreciate your concerns.
Have you seen Atlantic City?
I
think the councilman has answered your query, and rather than go on and debate the matter here, we thank you for your comments. We thank you for
Mr. Stino, I've also contacted your office and nobody's ever called back. And it's very frustrating because this is affecting not just the village of Floral Park, it's Elmont, it's all these areas. And I'm asking you to think about the family life. $20 million is not a lot of money for Nassau County.
Thank you I think you made the point very fit. Thank you very much. Lucille Defina.
Hi, good afternoon. Lucille Defina, 2749 Merrick Avenue. I'm speaking today about the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter, as I always do. What I'm particularly concerned about today is I just got in some new FOIL records, and it's out of the 231 cats that were killed last year at the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter, 185 of them were killed because they needed medical. And that has even gotten worse. I thought that once we talked about this a year ago, there seemed to be an improvement. The cats were getting medical. They were getting bios on their cages. They were getting advertising on the website. There were outreaches on the internet. Now that has all disappeared. Their cages are empty. There's no information. There's nothing on the website. They are disappearing very quickly. I want you to, in spite of, well, I'm sure you need to hear what Ms. Petrie has to say, because she has always said that you can't look at numbers like that.
Those numbers, you're taking it out of context. You know I make these things up. But I want you to realize that along with all the other signs of this shelter deteriorating as all the programs are disappearing and it's turning back into a high-kill shelter, the other major thing to look at here are intake numbers. Do you know, and I know you don't know, Mr. Santino, how to run a shelter. And that's why I feel we have to get up here and maybe just tell everyone and educate everyone. Because one of the first signs to look at in a shelter that's going in a backwards motion is its intake numbers. As the shelter improves, your intake numbers should be decreasing, not increasing. And receiving these foils just a few days ago, and I haven't looked at them all, the only thing that jumped off the page were the intake numbers, and I'm only looking at the cats right now, I have not looked at the dogs. The intake numbers have increased substantially, which means, along with not having any adoption programs and all the other programs and behavioral programs, you clearly do not believe in having a pet retention program and an interception program. These are vital programs to keeping animals out of the shelter. TNR and feral cat communities and rescuers and people who are caring for these cats outside are killing themselves. They have devoted their lives, they have lost their families, they do nothing but dedicate every single moment of their lives to trapping, TNRing, feeding, and caring for these homeless cats outside. And your numbers are showing that Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter has opened the doors to bringing them in and killing them. And that's a mentality that has been long gone in every other shelter in the country and even here on Long Island. So I don't know if people are aware of that yet, but taking care of stray cats and outdoor homeless cats and feral cats is probably one of the hardest things that people have to do. I give those people so much credit. I myself couldn't do it. I did shelter rescue because I felt, well, they made it in here and this is a shelter. So now it's our job to have them make it out. But caring for all those cats that are out there and having them just come in droves without speaking to the community and partnering with the community and partnering with rescue organizations to make this not happen and have your kill numbers and your intake numbers go up, it has to stop. This is, I mean, we keep telling you this, but I think you need to really understand the severity of this.
Thank you very much. Elizabeth Stein. Your name and address to the record.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sign 5 Dunhill Road, New Hyde Park.
I think you have to speak directly into that one.
How's this?
That's good.
Just a few things. Firstly, as a follow-up to what Mr. Pena was saying, most recently at New York City Animal Care and Control, at their monthly board meeting, what they generally do is they do discuss the numbers. And one of the numbers that was greatly applauded was the fact that the number of animals entering, and this is a huge shelter system for all of the boroughs, the number of animals entering decreased, which is astonishing when you think of a shelter system of that magnitude. And it was absolutely due to the reforms that are going on at that shelter, particularly with respect to interception and pet retention, which is specifically helping people keep their animals. It is, you can look at numbers and you can look at animals going to rescue and you can look at adoptions. That is clearly critical. But what is also critical is reducing the number of animals entering the system, because the burden on any municipal animal shelter is huge. The other two things I would like to ask Supervisor Santino is firstly what the status is of the peculiar bill that Ms. Madden and I work very closely with the town attorney's office in consulting and drafting.
Yes, we are working to bring the bill to a final form to be voted on. I would like to have that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, if not by the next town board meeting, by the meeting after that.
And will we, meaning the generic communal we, be able to see this prior to?
Sure, it will certainly be on the calendar, and we will certainly make copies available once it's finalized.
Okay. And the last thing I would like to know is I have come to a lot of board meetings over the past few years, and to the best of my recollection, there has never been a, I'm going to put in quotes, a religious component to it. I don't recall there ever being anybody from any religious persuasion saying any sort of prayer at the beginning, and I'm just wondering if there was a particular reason for it, and if this is something that's going to happen on a regular basis.
Mr. Supervisor, I'll address that for 1 second first, if I can. Monsignor Titoni is a very close family friend of our newly inducted councilman, Councilman D'Esposito, and because of the fact that he was becoming a councilman today, that is why Monsignor is here. At any town board induction, the one that took place at the beginning of January for myself and for Councilman Blakeman and Ambrosino and King Sweeney, we had various priests, rabbis, representatives of Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Jain faith. So there are, from time to time, religious components of the meeting. We will have an African American History Month celebration at 3 o'clock today, which everyone is invited to, which will also have clergy participation. So to answer your specific question, the reason why it was at this particular town board meeting is because of the vote on Councilman D'Esposito and the close relationship he has with Monsignor Titoni.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Diane Madden.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Ms.
Good afternoon. Before I begin, on the most recent Boyles, there was a new category added under the description of clinic. The others are owner, this is for intake, owner, surrender, return, seized, service in and stray. And again, this is a brand new category. I'd like to find out why that is.
Okay, Ms. Petrie, if you would answer that.
Yeah, I believe that section is the new spay neuter clinic that we started doing last year with the mobile unit. We did a couple events in the hall, I believe, in the category for the double check.
Yeah, if you could. So that would be for intake?
Yeah, we would. If we had an animal in for the spay neuter clinic, we would absolutely keep a record of it as an intake, under a separate category.
Okay, because it's for the dogs as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
This wasn't the TNR. This was the spay neuter clinic that we do for the cost for the pets. We did a couple events.
Okay, thank you.
I was not going to speak today based on our meeting. I was very encouraged by your direction and your words. I chose to speak because I have a question. As far as the shelter liaison, currently I'm assuming it is Ms. Petrie.
It is still Ms. Petrie, yes.
I wanted to also comment on some of the numbers, the intake, and the medical for cats, and point out that the job to outreach for these animals is that of the rescue coordinator, and it's not being done for the cats. The money is there, the services are supposed to be there now with a veterinarian, and these animals are being cheated, and these numbers to me are appalling, and there's no excuse for it. And that is why when we go back 5 years, how we worked so hard to get some of these positions at the animal shelter, they weren't just to service the dogs. So I just wanted to make note of that.
I appreciate that.
And again, overall, you can't fit a square peg into a round hole. We need a new director. You can't make someone become growth-minded. You instill a no-kill philosophy in a person. You either have that, or you either were bred in a system that disregards the killing of animals. We want them saved. We want to go back to where we were a year and a half ago. We need your support. I loved what Councilor Bluesby said about the process. There's a process that you need to look at here. And
I heard you loud and clear on me.
thank you so much. And I just want to say, because it is on record, because I am getting information sifted to me that since our meeting, some of the staff are feeling pressured and nervous and worried and excluded and bullied. And I just want to say to them indirectly that we need them to hang in there. We really need them to hang in there until you do make these changes, because we can't lose any more great staff at the animal shelter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Meeta Meredith?
BJ Meredith, 700 Wesley Street, Baldwin. A couple of things. First of all, I definitely want to commend Councilwoman Bluesby for her statement with regard to the lack of process. It's always nice to have those words on paper, but it would just be more interesting if we actually implemented something along those lines. I don't know if this proceeding is still being videotaped. I am still concerned about the fact that once we have these little rah-rah appointments and things of that nature, then all of a sudden it's of public interest, but the day-to-day things that tax the residents on a regular basis, we can't seem to have that included in terms of getting these meetings videotaped. Again, I launch my request that our meetings, which are supposed to be available for the public, are provided to them, and those resources that we so freely use in terms of this ongoing and excessive advertising could be used towards making the public more aware of what is taking place by our appointed and sometimes elected officials. I do want to congratulate our new council and Mr. D'Esposito, Councilman D'Esposito at this point, in looking over your background, and I applaud you as a 9/11 first responder, and I always appreciate those who have continued to serve in terms of our firefighters and police officers. So I do hope that you bring to the table a breath of fresh air and inclusion, and just listen to what your residents have to say, because that is definitely important, because too many of the residents are consistently feeling disenfranchised because of the things that take place behind closed doors, largely, in the town of Hempstead. I'm concerned, and I'm glad that Councilman Ambrosino is back. At the previous board meeting, there were a number of residents, both from Floral Park as well as Elmont, who expressed concern with regard to OTV. And we keep hearing that $20 million, which even the county can't justify in terms of where they get that number from. And unfortunately, many of the programs that the county has implemented, which have backfired and continue to cost the county taxpayers money, that $20 million again, and I brought this up at the legislators' meetings, where's the documentation to support that? And to say that, well, you know, the traffic's not going to go through Floral Park, it's Elmont, so basically don't worry about it, I think that that was kind of insulting. That was the impression that I got.
Well, no, I think if I conveyed that impression, I apologize. I represent Elmont. I grew up in Elmont. My parents live in Elmont. I'm not insulting Elmont at all. I was just stating a fact of traffic patterns. If you go down Springfield Boulevard and you make a left, if you're a charter bus, you go down Hempstead Turnpike, that's going to be a heck of a lot easier than going down Plainfield Avenue and making the right. Having grown up in Elmont, and I want to be very crystal clear on this, whatever you're insinuating, I'm very proud of Elmont, and I'm not insinuating anything negative. As to the number of 20 million, that is based on an independent gaming study that was shared with local officials.
I know where the number's coming from.
So that's the answer to your question.
Okay, but as I said, it really is a fallacy because, like I said, and I've
we
said...
We can agree to disagree on the veracity of the projection.
That's fine. But what I'm saying is we continue to come to the public with these numbers that are never justified, and the taxpayers have to continue to bear the brunt for those mistakes. Let's talk about the red light cameras. Let's talk about the consolidation of police precincts. I get it. That's a county issue, but we're still town residents, and we're also impacted by the town. There was a question I wanted to raise at the last meeting, but I wasn't given the opportunity to speak with regard to a $500,000 grant that was approved by the town for the residents of Elmont. And the reason I'm bringing it up, even though I'm a resident of Baldwin, is that we have a building that is, let's just say it's in the mode of, I don't know if it's renovation or whatever, but it is on Grand Avenue at the corner of Stanton. It has a fence that has basically been knocked down by the last couple of storms. You can see into the building to the basic framework where we have high school students and young students who attend the Brookville School who have to walk past that facility, and it's a dangerous situation, it's a dangerous scenario. And we keep talking about all this money that we're putting for economic development and planning and safety, and a young child was killed, I believe, in Elmont recently with regard to someone who just kept driving. And we have a young child that was not killed but severely wounded on Grand Avenue in Baldwin. So we talk about how we're trying to protect our citizenry and we're not protecting the interests of our young people with all of this building. And I noticed in this publication how many attorneys that we're bringing on retainer or per diem. Exactly where are our resources? Where are we actually putting our concentration with regard to residents? And lastly, and most important, the reason I'm usually here, as Mr. Procacci said earlier, we do seem to put notices out for things that, you know, again, the free tax service, you know, how you're quote-unquote saving us money in our taxes, but the resources that we fail to allocate for our veterans. We don't have a mobile outreach for our veterans. I get that you had the little walkthrough at Hempstead Works for the programs for veteran jobs, but we can't provide affordable housing for the veterans to live here, for them to get a job, for them to get a business. I think it's important.
Thank you very much, Mr.
And you're very welcome that I wasn't
able to adhere to the time restrictions, okay?
I found it interesting that you can now adhere to the time restrictions, but when the gentleman was up here from Island Park who addressed his issues, you said nothing about what his time frame was.
He said it within the same amount of time. Thank you very much, Ms. Meredith. Mr. Felix Procacci.
Supervisor, I could add one thing about Grand Avenue, the child who was hurt. Are you talking about the child who was hit by Baldwin High School?
Yes.
Because I worked tirelessly on that issue, met with lots of people from the school, and we've now designated that a school safety zone. So it was an important issue. We dealt with it, and if you go down Grand Avenue now, you can see that all of the street signs, everything has been changed. It was countless amounts of town Hempstead hours spent on that issue.
The signs are there, but there's no physical presence that's keeping the near misses that are taking place on Grand Avenue. And if you're aware of that building, because again, you don't live in Baldwin, but if you're not aware of that building on the corner of Stanton and Grand Avenue where Brookville School is right up the street, and that's an elementary school, that fence, anyone can go through that fence and you can literally look through the building to see where the metal is inside that building.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. Meredith. Phyllis Bocacci, please.
I'd like to talk again about the appointment of Mr. Esposito. You have good friends, family. They all scolded me for not standing up when you were inaugurated. For me, respect is earned. I don't know you. The town, with all its communication department and all the personnel, didn't make any effort to introduce you to any community at all. I look at the news regularly, and for me, this is probably about 115 consecutive meetings. I don't know what you know about me. I know you introduced me. I'll introduce myself. I've been fighting for really open government for the last 5 years. So far this year, and Mr. Santino's picture is on this, 4 mailings. They're at least $40,000 a piece. That's just the base rate for postal patron blasting every postal box in town. For me, it's a waste of money in this day and age where you have email communication. I've asked them, well, they say people want to get these mailings. Well, then I brought a form in. I said, why don't you send out this form and let people opt out or get an email? This nice, colorful booklet here, all these things you could sign up for. You could have people sign up for it online. They could get a text notification when they did registration. Here, if I read it, even if I wanted to go to one of them, I might forget. There's a lot of economical ways. We have a hefty IT department budget. It's been going up every year. We spend a lot of money on it. We should use the technology. It was a big disappointment. King Sweeney and Mr. Blakeman, they got appointed last year. It was an urgent resolution and they got appointed. It was not put in the paper. The press release came out 3 o'clock the day they were nominated. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's not democracy. They say, well, you have a choice of voting in November. But there's an advantage to certain candidates who get their picture 26, 27 times a year. And these are not even allocated properly in the budget because a lot of this stuff is publicity. The publicity budget is $50,000. When you're doing publicity, make the residents understand in the budget that this is what we spend on publicity. So I'm not even objecting to this, but put it in the budget so people can see how many millions of dollars are being spent on publicity. Excuse me, Mr. Blair, thank you. Respect is earned for me. I'm very old-fashioned. If you show independence where you could stand up against this wasteful spending, give people the option, if they want to receive it, fine. I have no objection to that. But most residents I know, they would rather have the money in their pocket. They would rather be notified by email. That's my interaction with residents over the many years. I ran for office one time. They all said the same thing. Once again, if you stand up and be independent, I will stand up and clap.
Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you.
If I may, please say.
We have I'm proud to introduce another guest that we have with us, Mayor Michael McGinty of Island Park. Mayor McGinty, and before we conclude, I would like to call on Monsignor Tutoni from, again, Sacred Heart Church in Island Park, now that we have appointed Councilman D'Esposito, to give a benediction. So we'll set that up for you in 1 second, Monsignor, and come on forward. Thank you for being with us, Leonard. Thank you.
Sit down for 1 second, please. About 24 years was Anthony's instructor on how to serve Mass. Anthony was one of my old boys. And we've kept contact, very close contact, texting all the time, over the past 24 years. And there was instructions that I would give to the altar boys, now altar servers, girls too. And it's not just what to do when, it's a presence to have when you're serving, when you're doing something in public. I gave this instruction 24 years ago. I'd like to remind Anthony of it and upgrade it, if I may, because now he's taken a step in public life and service beyond what serving Mass was. But just, if I may, upgrade these 3 points of instruction. The first point that I would tell the kids, you have to always sit up straight. Sit up in your seat. Put your back against the seat. Put your hands on your knees. I'll upgrade that. Sit up straight. Be a man of honesty, a man of truthfulness. When you're criticized, when things are said that aren't true, hold up your head because you are honest before God and other people. Do the right thing always. Sit up straight. Hold your head up straight. It's important in life. The other thing I would tell the kids, don't cross your legs. Don't cross your feet. Put your 2 feet flat on the ground and keep them there. Listen to what people say. They are the reality of the needs of the world. Keep your feet flat on the ground. It has an upgrade now. The other thing I would tell the kids is when you're not sure what to do, don't start wandering around because you think you're supposed to go get something. If you're not sure and you're wandering around, you look like a jerk. People see that and they know this kid doesn't know what he's doing. When you're not sure what to do, just stay put. Look at me. I'll call you. I'll tell you what to do. Upgrading that instruction. When you're not sure what to do, ask. Turn to people whose opinion you respect. Listen and evaluate the opinion that is given to you. And the last instructions I would tell the kids really doesn't have an upgrade. It's valid for a 10-year-old serving Mass. It's valid for any one of us. People are looking at you. Keep your fingers out of your nose, out of your ears, out of your eyes, out of your mouth. Don't gross out the people who are looking at you. That one has no upgrade. Anthony, what I can say in the blessing that I wish is, you know that you have people who care about you and love you very deeply. And we always will be there for you. And I especially, now that I see what you're going to be doing, will keep you in my prayers in a very special way. God bless you, Anthony. God bless all the people that you will serve. You are getting someone who has integrity, who is honest, who listens. God bless you.
Bring up